The desert had closed around her like a trap. In the heart of the sandstorm, she knew only the gods could help her now. Strange to think that just a week ago, everything had begun so well. Memphis was buzzing that morning, alive with heat, noise, and the usual rumors that somehow traveled faster than any messenger. Iset-Ren moved through it all with practiced ease, already half a dozen thoughts ahead. Everyone knew her as the courier scribe who never lost a scroll and never lost her temper, which made her a rare miracle in the city. On her belt swung a battered bronze sand compass, a device so unreliable that she kept it mostly out of sentiment and partly out of masochism. Still, she claimed it worked, if you squint hard enough and pray to 3 different gods. She had found it years ago while digging through an old campfire site, a family relic dropped by her uncle during one of his legendary attempts at desert romance. According to him, the goddess of the west wind had stolen his poem. According to Iset-Ren, the poem probably ran away on its own. Iset-Ren had barely set foot in Ptah's courtyard when Priest Nebka swooped toward her, robes flaring behind him like a man who practiced dramatic entrances in his spare time. His eyebrows alone could have delivered the message, but he insisted on using words anyway. He spoke of an ancient convoy ambushed in the desert, a sacred relic lost, a stone fallen from the sky, and a shrine swallowed by dunes long before anyone currently alive had learned to walk. Iset-Ren listened politely, mostly because ignoring Nebka was considered a public safety hazard. According to the priest, a traveler at last night's Hathor festival had enjoyed more beer than medically recommended and, in a moment of spectacular honesty, revealed markings in the desert that matched old temple records. Hathor loosens lips, Nebka muttered. Then came the offer. Find the celestial relic, return it, and earn a generous payment that jingled temptingly in the purse he placed before her. Iset-Ren hesitated only long enough to pretend she was thinking it over. Her first stop was Menes, a desert guide who knew the dunes so well he claimed they greeted him by name. He agreed to join her, but insisted they needed more muscle, ideally the kind that could scare bandits, or possibly even sandstorms, into changing direction. Iset-Ren knew exactly who fit that description. Panesi, the retired Mariano archer, answered the door holding a bow taller than most bureaucrats' sense of self-importance. He looked Iset-Ren up and down, nodded once, and said, "Finally, someone remembered I exist." By sunset, the trio was assembled. One quick-witted courier, one desert whisperer, and one human siege weapon. It wasn't a perfect team, but it was the kind of team that made adventure lean forward. They left Memphis on horseback, following a trail so sun-bleached it felt less like a road and more like a suggestion. By the second day, even the horses looked as though they regretted not choosing a quieter profession. When they finally reached the oasis, the shade felt like a blessing straight from the gods, or at least from a minor deity with excellent customer service instincts. Panesi dunked his entire head in the water, while Mines whispered thanks to every palm tree in sight. An elderly woman sat nearby, her silver hair framing her face in a way that suggested she feared neither time nor desert. She gave them directions in a tone that implied refusal was impossible, and her Sekhmet amulet glinted just long enough to make Iset-Ren wonder who exactly was helping whom. None of them noticed the bandits crouched behind the palms, leaning in with the enthusiasm of professional eavesdroppers. By the time Iset-Ren mounted her horse again, the bandits were already tossing coins to decide which one would claim credit for following her. The shrine appeared at dusk, half swallowed by dunes and looking exactly like the sort of place sensible people avoided. Naturally, this meant Iset-Ren and her companions walked straight in. Inside, they found nothing but sand, silence, and the unmistakable scent of ancient disappointment. Minas muttered that the place had been dead for centuries, which was ironic considering how loudly it complained in the wind. Hanesi stepped outside for a better view of the horizon, which was heroic code for "something feels wrong," and spotted the bandits perched boldly on a dune like vultures auditioning for a promotion. By the time he called out to the others, the sun was slipping low, the dunes were shifting ominously, and the entire world had the nerve to look as though it were preparing for a dramatic plot twist. The bandits descended the dune with the slow confidence of men who believed the universe had finally sent them a gift. Iset-Ren wasn't sure whether to be afraid or offended by how casually they approached. Iset-Ren knelt beside a cracked stone block, trying to convince any listening deity that now would be an excellent time for divine intervention. She didn't expect an answer, of course. The gods were notoriously allergic to schedules. Then the wind changed, gathering strength as if inhaling the entire desert in one breath, and a deep rumble rolled across the dunes. It wasn't a reply exactly, but it certainly felt like someone powerful had just checked their messages. The sandstorm erupted with a force that made the dunes shudder, swirling into a towering column that swallowed the sky. Iset-Ren squinted as something vast and unmistakably opinionated began taking shape inside the storm. A long snout, pointed ears, and glowing eyes emerged in the churning sand, and a voice rolled through the air that sounded like thunder learning sarcasm. "You mortals really know how to pick terrible locations for life decisions," Seth hissed, the storm vibrating with each word. "I will deal with the bandits and send them straight to Anubis. Amit has been getting a little skinny lately. Poor Go must be hungry. But hear me well. There is one condition. You will take no money for the relic, not a single daben. Break that bargain, and I promise you, the curse that follows will cling to your name longer than the desert itself." With that, the storm lunged across the dunes in a roaring sweep, scattering the bandits like startled scarabs and clearing the buried entrance beneath the shrine. The wind died as abruptly as it came, leaving the desert trembling in its wake as though it needed a moment to recover. When the storm finally settled, the sand had peeled away from the shrine, like a curtain reluctantly opening on the next act, revealing a buried doorway nobody had seen in centuries. Inside, they found a sealed chamber, untouched by time, its jars dusty but intact, and a leather bag resting in the center, like it had been waiting specifically for them. Iset-Ren lifted it carefully, feeling a gentle warmth through the linen wrapping, the kind of warmth that suggested the relic was enchanted, or slightly offended at being ignored for so long. Back in Memphis, the temple halls glowed with torchlight as Iset-Ren set the relic on an altar with the quiet pride of someone placing a cat back on its favorite cushion. Nemka's eyebrows shot up so high they practically tried to leave his face, which he took as a sign of approval. When he offered her the promised payment, she stepped back and refused calmly. "Honor is enough," she said, which was true, though the moment Nebka wasn't looking, she did whisper, "Also Seth threatened me, so, you know, priorities." The stone from the heavens was installed in the temple with solemn ceremony, priests chanting while a sunbeam conveniently struck the niche, as if the heavens had been waiting for their cue. Visitors whispered that the gods themselves must have guided its return, though Iset-Ren suspected Seth was somewhere smirking, proud of his own special effects work. Later, the temple unveiled a new statue, a guardian figure carved with Iset-Ren's calm, determined face, as if immortalizing her, saying, "Like and subscribe." She stood before it quietly, a little embarrassed and a little proud, wondering if Seth would pop in to comment on the nose, but thankfully he showed some restraint. Moral: take silver and you lose your way. Choose honor and the gods will stay.